Hello, everyone. Chair Richardson has some family emergencies, so she won't be able to chair this meeting today. So I will be her substitute. Hopefully, I can fill her shoes. In pursuant to House Rule 10.1, I'll call this remote hearing of the Education Policy Committee to order. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Richardson excused. Vice Chair Hassan.
Present.
Representative Erickson.
Present.
Representative Drazkowski. Representative Bennett.
Present.
Representative Berg.
Present.
Representative Bowe.
Present.
Representative Christensen.
Present.
Representative Edelson.
Present.
Representative Feist.
Present.
Representative Frazier.
Present.
Representative Jordan.
Present.
Representative Keeler.
Present.
Representative Mueller.
Present.
Representative Mueller.
Present.
Representative Poston.
Present.
Representative Scott.
Present.
Representative Erdahl.
Present.
Representative Wozlowick. Representative Drazkowski. Madam Chair, a quorum is present.
Thank you. Representative Jordan, have you had a chance to look at the minutes of March 12th?
I have, Madam Chair, and I move the minutes from March 12th.
All right. If you guys can unmute yourself, this will be a voice vote. All in favor of approval of the March 12th minutes, please say aye.
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 All opposed? Minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is House File 1644.
Madam Chair, that's my bill, and I believe that's up on Wednesday.
Oh. Am I looking at just a second when you have too many? Too many things open for you. Just a second. I think I'm looking at. The world of technology. It's only useful when it's working. Laura, I'm having text problems here. What is the next bill on the agenda?
Madam Chair, the first bill on the agenda is House File 1188.
All right. And that is, whose bill is that?
Representative Morrison.
Is Representative Morrison with us? Rep Morrison, are you on the call with us? Maybe not. All right, we'll move to the next item on the agenda.
Madam Chair, if you want to move on to House File 710 with Representative Sandell.
Rep Sandell, welcome to Education Policy Committee. You're muted. Rep Sandell, you're muted.
I think I'm okay now. Is that all right?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Well, thank you, Vice Chair Hassan and members of the committee. Thanks very much for the chance to talk with you this afternoon. I want to talk about a serious issue that House File 710 addresses. We've allowed a troubling problem to get out of hand, and we need to work with our teacher training programs and school districts to get back on track. The reason is that there's a growing number of Minnesota schools without courses to meet the aspirations and interests of the young men and women who would like to explore the trades, technical fields, and other subjects of their special interest. There are teachers in training who would love to teach those courses, but do not have access to the required certification programs at the college they're attending. House File 710 is an effort to remedy that. It requires the Professional Educator Licensing and Standards Board, PELSB, to work with teacher training programs and establish a hybrid or online course leading to certification in every teacher licensing program required by PELSB. Should an in-state program not be available in a teacher licensing area, the board must enter into an agreement with an out-of-state provider offering the required coursework available online. According to the biennial report of supply and demand of teachers in Minnesota published in 2021 by PELSB, we're doing a pretty good job of preparing students studying in high quality Minnesota college programs leading to certification in traditional areas. But there are fields where training is not easily available. And that creates two problems. First, too few teachers, especially in career and technical education programs, to offer students preparation in promising fields. And second, too few opportunities for young people, many of whom are underrepresented in the trades and technical fields and are available to prepare those students for post-secondary options. With more time, we could talk about the details and the research that led to this bill. Let me say that the PELSB report is revealing. It's very good. It's online, and the statistics there on which this bill is based are really convincing. I've asked Fairmont Superintendent Joe Brown to describe his perception of the problem and why it's so important to respond now. I've spoken with Superintendent Brown before, have great respect for his opinion, ideas, and experience, and hope he's on the line because I'd love to have you hear what he has to say. Superintendent Brown.
Vice Chair Hassan, Representative Sandell, thank you very much. I just want to point out that my wife and I live in Representative Bennett's district. My wife teaches in Austin High School, which is Representative Mueller's district. And I serve the Fairmont School District, which is Representative Bjorn Olson's district and Senator Julie Rosen. Later on this afternoon at 3 o'clock, I'm testifying for a bill for Senator Rosen, Senate File 789, which does tie in with Representative Sandell's idea. Here's the issue. Minnesota needs to replace 239,000 skilled workers in the next 24 months. Can you imagine the financial impact it's going to have on the state budget when 239,000 skilled workers are retired? And because of that, Fairmont has been working very diligently over the last 11 years to increase our vocational programs. We have an agriculture academy, a welding academy with 20 welding booths, an automotive academy, a culinary arts academy, and a construction aids academy, construction trades academy. And just on February 9th, our voters in Martin County voted 67% approval to build a $6.73 million expansion of our vocational programs, which will have an HVAC center, which is run by Johnson Controls. We will be building houses for Habitat for Humanity, and we have an expanded wood shop and 2 additional classrooms. Here's the deal. I'm going to be 70 years old in a few weeks. If I was a bricklayer, a plumber, or an electrician, I would have retired years ago. And we've talked about this concept. I know Representative Bennett has been very gracious to carry legislation for us to provide additional funding for schools that offer vocational classes outside of the traditional school day. But Minnesota needs to decide, how are we going to replace 239,000 skilled workers in the next 24 months? Because if some of you have tried to find a plumber, an electrician, a carpenter, a masonry person, it's really tough, and it's getting tougher. And we're getting into an economy where there is a building boom going on, and we need more people. Fairmont, we're fortunate that we have a school board that has supported the trades. We have 3 of our 6 school board members that work for Mayo Hospital, but they're also very supportive of the trades. And because of that, we have Saturday vocational classes, evening vocational classes, and summer vocational classes. And we're doing everything we can to get people certified. Now, with Representative Sandell's issue, that brings up the next point, and that is, where are our vocational teachers? Many of our vocational teachers have left the teaching field, mainly because of finances. What we do in Fairmont, we encourage our vocational teachers to work 12 months, and we pay them accordingly. So if they teach a Saturday class or a summer class, we pay them their regular salary, their hourly rate for the additional time that they serve. More importantly, we're providing skilled workers for the manufacturing base in South Central Minnesota. With those opening comments, I'd be glad to yield any questions that legislators may have.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Before we take any questions, is there anyone in the Zoom who would like to testify for this bill or against this bill? I don't hear anyone. Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I have a question for Superintendent Brown.
Your question.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Superintendent Brown, which programs in Minnesota exist to train vocational teachers for vocational? How many do we have left, for example? How many have recently closed or not found a niche? Will you answer that, please?
Mr. Brown?
Vice Chair Hassan, Representative Erickson, for about 10 years, there was not one school in Minnesota where you could get a CTE vocational teaching license. My understanding is that St. Cloud State University is the only one in Minnesota. We have a construction trades teacher right now that he is working on a portfolio license through Pelsby, and he's been working on that for the last year and a half. Hopefully he'll finish it this year. We hired a new agriculture teacher this year, and we had to hire her from the University of Kentucky because there's just very few programs in Minnesota where you can get a traditional vocational teaching license. Now, with that said, Representative Erickson, as you know, with a Tier 1 teaching license, a person may teach a high school vocational class if he or she has 5 years of a skilled workforce.
Yes.
And so that's very important. So as we are preparing, we're in the process of building our $6.73 million expansion. And with the Johnson Controls HVAC Center, we are working with our local plumbing and electrical companies, and they will be providing us a Tier 1 teaching license folks to teach, because there's no place in Minnesota where you get a plumbing or a electrical vocational license in the state that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Superintendent. Do you have a follow-up, Rep. Erickson?
Thank you, Chair Hassan. Yes, Superintendent Brown. So when we think about the concept of Representative Sandell's bill and the online, do you know of programs in our adjoining states that offer online courses? Because the bill allows for any licensure field not offered in Minnesota, that Pelsby must reach agreements with these out-of-state providers to provide 100% online course. So do you know of courses offered in our surrounding state colleges or universities?
You know, Vice Chair Hassan, Representative Erickson, I could not give you a list right now, but I do know that our two family consumer science teachers both came out of Iowa State University, and but I think they were in a traditional classroom setting. But I think now with COVID, with the expansion of online classes all throughout the country, it just seems to me that Minnesota's good enough and strong enough and has such wonderful colleges and university systems that we ought to be doing something very, very quickly. And if we're not willing to do that, then we need to have the type of legislation that Representative Sandell has that would allow teachers to get online classes from throughout the country of those states that are above us. Oklahoma and Ohio are the two states that have significant vocational programs. We're going to take a field trip in a few weeks to New Philadelphia, Ohio. They have it's called the Buckeye Career Center. They have 35 vocational programs. They serve 11 regional high schools. They have 1,000 students, grades 11 and 12, and they've been around for 43 years. Minnesota, in all honesty, of all the great things that our state has, and I'm so proud of Minnesota, but we are falling behind with the issue. And I'll tell you one more thing that's very important to point out. You know, with COVID, every high school in the state has had significant number of students that have failed core classes. Next year, Fairmont High School will be going to an 8-period day. We're doing that so that students can have more opportunities to take classes so they can catch up their credits so they can graduate on time. What that means is that they'll be taking more core classes during the day, and we need to find some way for them to take vocational classes outside of the day. I know that doesn't relate to this bill specifically, but we need to get more vocational teachers in the trades. And in my opinion, schools should hire vocational teachers on a 12-month contract and pay them accordingly. If we do not do that, we're going to lose them to the private sector where they can make more money. This is a serious issue. And the legislature this year really has to step forward. Otherwise, I can't even imagine the financial impact of 239,000 skilled workers not paying state income taxes in 2 more years. It's going to be in the millions of dollars of state revenue loss. That's why we need more teachers now. We need more kids. Lastly, only one third of our children go to a traditional 4-year college. That means 2/3 of our children need another opportunity. And it's so important that schools across the state, and again, I think this has to happen at the high school level. We're 50, 60 miles away from our nearest community college. We can go to the west to Jackson. We can go east to Albert Lee. Our kids can't do that during the day, but they could do it on Saturdays. They could do it in the summer.
Thank you, Superintendent Brown. So I need to move this bill formally to move the bill in front of the committee because I was having tech issues at the beginning of the meeting. I move House File 710 before the committee and to be referred to Education Finance. Rep. Erickson, are you done with your questions?
Thank you, Chair Hassan. One question for Representative Sandell. And Representative Sandell, thank you for bringing this proposal forward. Have you looked at, and we'll discuss this in finance, I know, but have you looked at any costs that might be passed on to students, if they are in these online private courses? I imagine for finance, you've done some research, but just in a summary way, could you tell us?
Rep. Erickson, this is a policy committee. I will let briefly explain. I'll let Rep. Sandell briefly explain, but I will just tell you that this is the education policy, so we don't deal with finance, and the bill is going to education finance. Representative Sandell, do you have a quick comment on that?
Thank you, Chair Hassan and Representative Erickson. That's an issue that has been approached by the Minnesota Education Deans Association, and they've asked me about that, and we'll talk about that before we get to finance. Senator Clausen is carrying the bill in the Senate, and he's addressing that issue as well. I don't have the answer that I'd like to be able to give you this afternoon, but hopefully when we get together again the next time, I'll be able to do that. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you very much. Representative Bennett.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I want to thank Superintendent Brown for being here. I've worked with him over a number of years, and he's great to work with and does such a good job explaining the need. And this is a critical issue, and I want to thank Representative Sandell for bringing this bill forward as a part solution. And I'm really hoping that we'll be able to hear, it won't be here, but probably at Finance, Representative Olson's bill that Superintendent Brown mentioned. I think we need to really focus on these trade issues right now because we do have a crisis coming up. I have a question for Representative Sandell. Representative Sandell, do you have any idea how long you'd anticipate it'll take for program providers to convert their programs to an online option?
Representative Sandell.
And Chair Hassan and Representative Bennett, the correspondence I've had with the Minnesota Educators Deans Association have suggested that we postpone this bill and to give them a chance to do some planning. I did work at the University of Minnesota for a while, and when we had a significant change in the organization of our curriculum there, it took a couple of years for each of the colleges to transfer their offerings from quarters to semesters. But I would imagine that within a school year, a significant progress could be made. So and as Superintendent Brown suggests, I feel that this is an emergency, and I should think that the schools of education or teacher training programs would feel the same way. And there are, of course, some alternative programs, alternative paths to teaching in the classroom that could be utilized as well. I do want to mention both to you, Representative Bennett and Representative Erickson, that there are significant federal as well as state programs to support and to support students who are in colleges and universities working toward CTE certification.
Thank you, Rep. Sandell. In the interest of time, we're going to move on. I renew my motion to re-refer House File 710 to Education Finance Committee. The clerk will take the roll.
Chair Richardson excused. Vice Chair Hassan.
Aye.
Representative Erickson.
Aye.
Representative Drazkowski.
Aye.
Representative Bennett.
Aye.
Representative Berg.
Aye.
Representative Bowe.
Aye.
Representative Christensen.
Aye.
Representative Edelson.
Aye.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Representative Jordan.
Aye.
Representative Keeler.
Aye.
Representative Mueller.
Aye.
Representative Mueller.
Mueller votes yes.
Representative Poston.
Aye.
Representative Scott.
Aye.
Representative Erdahl. Representative Erdahl.
Aye.
Thank you. Representative Waslowick.
Aye.
Madam Chair, there are 18 ayes and 0 nays.
Thank you. With 18 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is referred, and Rep. Sandell, you are on your way to Education Finance Committee. Thank you.
Chair Hassan and members, thanks very much for your confidence and time this afternoon. And Superintendent Brown, you were terrific. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next bill on the agenda is House File 1188. And I move House File 1188 before the committee and to be referred to Education Finance. Dr. Morrison, to your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members.
Rep. Morrison, I'm sorry, I said Dr. Morrison. I know you're a doctor, but in this hat you're representative, so.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Madam Chair and members, thank you for the opportunity to present House File 1188, which would create a licensed school nurse position at the Department of Education. Although MDE used to have a licensed school nurse, that person retired and there is no law requiring that there be an LSN at MDE. The bill lists the required qualifications for a licensed school nurse as well as some of the job requirements. A licensed school nurse is different than an RN in that a licensed school nurse has both healthcare related expertise and public health expertise. They have a public health license from the Board of Nursing and a license from Pellsby as well. They have expertise in the intersection of health and education. LSNs are able to answer medical questions as they relate to legal and liability situations. We have more medically fragile and medically complex students in our schools, which means that districts need to follow special education requirements for those medically fragile students. LSNs can help to provide districts with processes so that they can use third-party billing, which would ultimately help schools save money. This situation is exacerbated by the fact that it is estimated that 1/3 of school districts in Minnesota do not have a licensed school nurse. These district staff need someone at MDE that they can ask simple and complex questions related to processes and procedures for student health, IEPs, etc. And we don't know if a district has a licensed school nurse because it's my understanding that that data is not collected. We know much more about how student health impacts their education and the importance of that intersection than we used to. More of our students have complex medical challenges, and it's important that we have someone with the expertise and experience in a role at MDE that coordinate these challenges and serve as a liaison with the Department of Health. And with that, Madam Chair, I believe I have 2 testifiers today.
Thank you, Rep. Morrison. Our next testifier is Erica Yohoni, Health Service Supervisor at the Moorhead Area Public Schools. Ms.
Thank
Yohoni?
you, ma'am. Thank you.
Did I say your name right? I'm sorry.
Yanni, it's fine.
Yanni,
Yeah.
okay, I'm very sorry.
No worries.
Miss
Madam
Yanni,
Chair,
go ahead.
members of the committee, my name is Erica Yanni. I'm the Director of Health Services for the Moorhead Area Public Schools. I'm here today as a member of the School Nurse Organization of Minnesota. I also have served as the State School Health Consultant at the Minnesota Department of Health for the last 5 years. Thank you for the opportunity to testify in support of House File 1188. Minnesota is committed to providing the best care to our children of any state in the nation. 2 of our greatest measures are their health and education. Somehow at the intersection of these 2 fields, we grossly miss the mark. Minnesota ranked 38th in the nation for access to school nurses. How is 38th in the nation doing what is best for kids? Then we multiply this deficit by not having anyone at the Department of Education with any qualifications to direct nursing or healthcare. There have been proposals in the legislature this year for a school health support specialist. It does really very little to solve the problem if it's not someone who's licensed in school nursing. School nursing is a unique licensure with a unique scope of work recognized by the National Education Association, AAP, and American Nurse Association. As the MDH school health consultant, I can't count the number of times not having a counterpart at MDE limited my effectiveness and, more importantly, slowed progress for students. It also results in incredibly inefficient use of resources as problems unnecessarily require multiple people and agencies to find answers. The state rightly requires us to report every single episode of discipline that occurs in our buildings, but we don't require any reporting on the activities in our health offices or even who is providing care. That should terrify all of us. Through a licensed school nurse consultant, this data could be collected, analyzed, and provided to families and districts. Parents deserve to know who is providing medical care for their children, especially when the school health office is the only source of health care for so many kids. Districts need to critically analyze how unmet medical needs affect academic and attendance outcomes if we are going to make any genuine steps toward equity. To highlight the worst case scenario, in the midst of this pandemic, when I have a problem and I need support, I can't call MDH because the consultant is reassigned for COVID management. So as a district, there is not a single school nurse resource for me or us to turn to at any state agency. When we think back to that 1/3 of districts that don't have a nurse at all, those superintendents are left to make their best guess at what is right for healthcare for their students in their buildings. Think of that. We are in the greatest public health crisis, and I would argue the greatest education crisis of our lifetimes. And there is not one person with healthcare training guiding MDE from within. Supporting House File 1188 is a powerful step to remedying this damaging and potentially dangerous situation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yoni. Our next testifier is Sandy Menton, the licensed school nurse from Walker, Hessen. I'm not even going to try that area school district. You go ahead and just say that.
Good afternoon, Madam. Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the committee. My name is Sandy Munson. I am in my 29th year as the licensed school nurse at the Walker Hackensack Akeley School District on the shores of Leech Lake, and which also contains part of the Leech Lake Reservation. My district currently has approximately 800 students. Many of our families have difficult or no access to healthcare except for what is provided by me at school. 60% of our families qualify for free or reduced priced meals. Approximately 25% of our students have a disability that qualifies them to receive special education services. My students are fortunate that my district leaders have prioritized resource allocation for school health services. I am the bridge between education and healthcare for our students with health challenges. So many schools in rural Minnesota do not have nurses. I will share the story of a student with cerebral palsy in such a district that needed the expertise and advocacy of a school nurse. Her mother was dismayed that the special education team was not seeing the full impact of her disability on her education. The frantic mother requested that I attend as her guest to help explain how the health condition affected the student's education and safety at school. In the end, the team did provide appropriate interventions and support, and the student was safe and successful at school. Parents expect that their school is prepared to meet their child's health needs, but are they? I have a student with diabetes that is open enrolled into my district because her resident district does not have a school nurse. A neighboring district has over 5,000 students and only one LSN. That's a terrible ratio for our students. Another district was proposing to fill their school nurse position with an LPN as a cost-saving measure. An LPN has 1 year of schooling and must be supervised by an RN according to the law. Having a licensed school nurse at MDE for districts to consult regarding meeting the needs of our most vulnerable students will promote safer healthcare delivery in our schools. Students with health barriers are in every Minnesota school district, and all students deserve a safe, equitable, and appropriate education. A licensed school nurse at MDE will be uniquely qualified as a resource and leader as we strive to reach this goal.
Thank you, Ms. Munson. Before we move to member questions, is there anyone in the Zoom that would like to testify for or against this bill? Suppose no one. We'll move to member discussion. Rep. Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Representative Morrison, why wouldn't the department want to hire the best qualified instead of making this so restrictive? I know we have amazing nurses out there who are extremely knowledgeable, who have studied pediatrics, for example. Why do we have to be so restrictive in this? Because I don't think that most employees at MDE have teaching licenses. So why make this bill so restrictive and not make it, the best qualified candidate to take this position?
Representative Morrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Erickson. This is a single position at MDE that requires special expertise. And so I think the intent of the bill is to hire the most qualified candidate.
A follow-up, Rep. Erickson?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, just a statement. I don't think that it's necessary to have a professional in that position who has what is noted in the bill, because what we want is someone who is extremely knowledgeable about all childhood diseases, all the experiences that our young people might have as they grow up. And, it doesn't necessarily mean that this person is going to be intervening in budget, as it notes, and supervisory skills. I think we want someone at the department who is really knowledgeable about what happens K-12 or E-12, if we'd like to use that descriptor, to our children as they're growing and maturing and experiencing, school interactions, parental interactions, et cetera. So, I just think this is too restrictive, but thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Rep. Bowe.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Question for the author. I'm trying to wrap my head around. So this is requiring MDE to have a health services specialist, I believe. So what % of school districts have a school nurse on staff currently?
Representative Morrison.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Bowe. I think part of the challenges is we don't know exactly. The estimates are that a third do not, but I could defer to our testifiers.
Ms. Yoni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. What we know based on not complete picture, but is that at least 1/3 of our schools have no one for any contract hours at all. And we know that there are at least 15 to 20% of those other schools that have a very part-time person, between 50% or less in the FTE. And again, that's district, not building. So serving the whole district of 35,000 or 800.
Thank you, Ms. Yoni. Rep Bo, do you have a follow-up?
No, thank you.
Right. Representative Drazkowski.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Maybe for Ms. Yoni, you mentioned you worked for the Department of Health in a capacity that interfaced with the Department of Education. Tell us about what they have built so far there in that bureaucracy to help schools. Certainly they have, I would expect, the capacity to provide health-related information to schools when they call. What type of calls are they getting now, and what do they have there right now?
Ms. Yoni.
Vice Chair Hassan, excuse me, Representative Drazkowski. That's a great question. What I can tell you about my time at MDH was that on the Department of Education website, it had my name and referred anybody with health concerns or questions to us at MDH, which there are certainly things that can go between agencies, but directing particularly access to education isn't something that MDH can take on or is taking on. And so I would say that's the biggest gap is really that intersection of education and the health needs. So special education, 504s, they can certainly seek legal advice about the broader topic of 504s, but there isn't anyone working with them regarding implementation of safe practices in the day-to-day for both families and students. And then certainly on the other side, there's a structure for generalized health curriculum, but again, school nurses are uniquely qualified to provide particularly both individual and group education for our students with chronic conditions, which about 40% of Minnesota kids have some sort of ongoing health needs. So those won't be covered in your basic health curriculum. And how do we get at and support those kids who do struggle academically?
Thank you, Ms. Yoni.
Those I would say are the biggest gaps. Thank you.
So,
Representative Drazkowski, do you have a follow-up?
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. And thank you, Ms. Yoni. So Ms. Yoni, it sounds like Department of Health does field health-related calls from schools to provide them additional expertise that they might be seeking, but not maybe some of the curriculum stuff that you discussed. Is that accurate?
Yeah, I would say that. And then again, in our special education and 504 areas. So, you know, as we look at our graduation rates, some of our kids were most concerned about how are we going to get the right supports in place. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yoni.
Just a comment, Madam Chair, if I could.
Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So, I mean, we already have some of the infrastructure built in the Department of Health. Maybe a better focus for this effort would be to build in the deficiencies in the Department of Health rather than building a whole program that is partially redundant within the Minnesota Department of Education. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Representative Poston.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for Representative Morrison. A couple of questions. I'll ask them all at the same time. I see there's not a fiscal note on this. Can you tell us what the yearly compensation, including benefits, looks like for this position? And can you also tell me what's happening with this bill in the Senate, please?
Thank you, Representative Poston. I'll just remind people that this bill is going to Education Finance, and we are policy, committee. But I will let Representative Morrison just briefly maybe talk about if there is a fiscal note. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Poston. That a fiscal note has not been completed yet, so I can't answer I don't have the complete answer to that question yet. And there is a Senate author, but the bill has not been dropped yet, so it has not had a hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Representative Poston. The chair renews her motion to re-refer House File 1188 to Education Finance Committee, and the clerk will take the roll.
Chair Richardson excused. Vice Chair Hassan.
Aye.
Representative Erickson.
Oh, and I'm not sure how this bill met first deadline, so just note that, please.
Representative Drazkowski.
No.
Representative Bennett.
No.
Representative Berg.
Aye.
Representative Bowe.
No.
Representative Christensen. Representative Adel. Oh, yeah.
Aye. Thanks, Helen.
Representative Edelson.
Aye.
Representative Feist.
Aye.
Representative Frazier.
Aye.
Representative Jordan.
Aye.
Representative Keeler.
Aye.
Representative Mueller.
Aye.
Representative Mueller.
Mueller votes no.
Representative Poston.
No.
Representative Scott.
Nope.
Representative Erdahl.
Aye.
Representative Waslowick.
Aye.
Madam Chair, there are 11 ayes and 7 nays.
With 11 ayes and 7 nays, the bill, is re-referred to Education Finance Committee. Congratulations, Representative Morrison. You're on your way to Education Finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Our next bill is House File 699. Representative Mueller, would you like to move your bill?
Madam Chair, I would like to move House File 699 in front of this committee, please.
And it will be laid over for possible inclusion. To your bill.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members. So as many of you know, I've been a teacher for many years, almost 2 decades. And one thing that, as I've seen education change and go, and changed all these different things, one thing that I have seen remain the same is that when a teacher is gone, there needs to be a person in the classroom because of the fact that, we don't deal with robots, we deal with people. And as I have continued on in my journey of education, what has become maybe a very infrequent annoyance has become a common reality for many teachers. There are not enough substitutes. And what we're asking teachers to do is to cover their classes, for their colleague classes during their prep times. Now, when we ask a teacher to cover during preparation time, not only does that time get to be taken away for them for planning, but also there is time that students come in to get some individualized help. And so it is really a detriment both to teacher and to student when we do not have enough substitute teachers. In the past, it was important for teachers to have a substitute teacher that was licensed in a content area, because oftentimes they would try to match that substitute teacher with the teacher that was out so that lessons could continue. In reality, most of the time, especially for someone like me who taught English, I often made it a reading day for my students, or I would have something where if I didn't know if I was going to have a licensed content teacher, I would have something so that my students could still function without not needing to have a lot of content. In the current time that we are teaching in, this has become almost completely obsolete. When we have so many things that are accessible to our students online in school, and so many schools that have one-to-one laptop or tablet devices with enhanced broadband or Wi-Fi access. There are so many options for our teachers to create lessons, provide activities for their students without really missing a beat. With that being said, it's important for us to be able to have a person in the classroom to make sure that students are still working and to have relationships with them. House File 699 allows a school district the flexibility to hire a substitute teacher pending a completed background check, as long as they meet the requirements for the professional standards under Tier 1 CTE teachers, having 5 years of experience in a field, having a 2-year degree, or having a professional certification. This will allow school districts to have a direct access to community members to come in who are maybe in a different phase of life or are looking for just a little extra income, so that they can come in and see what's going on in the classroom and be that stable person if there's questions, and to create relationships. I have an endorsement from MSBA, and also in your digital packets, you also should see a support letter from my local union, my Austin union. You should see there's a letter from the president of my local union, Austin, Minnesota. I have several testifiers. Well, I have a testifier, or maybe more than one, here today. I do have Mr. Mark Raymond, who is our human resources specialist director at Austin High School, who actually came up with the idea for this bill. And then we should also have the superintendent of District 622, which will also be testifying. So at this point, Madam Chair, I would like to turn it over to my testifiers.
Thank you, Rep. Mueller. Mr. Raymond, welcome to the committee, and would you introduce yourself for the record and proceed with your testimony?
Thank you, Chair Hassan. My name is Mark Raymond. I'm the Executive Director of Human Resources for Austin Public Schools. About 2 years ago, myself and our Education Minnesota Union President, Tom Compton, came up with an idea of writing this bill in order to provide us with some relief, and also to bring the statutory requirements for substitute teaching into the present day. The statutory requirements for substitute teaching were written at a time when college graduates were the institution by which the schools were framing themselves. They were the holder of all the information. So what we were looking for at that time out of our substitute teachers was a vessel of information, somebody that had additional training that would actually be resident to all of the information. Today, what we're finding is that our instructors are doing such an amazing job at preparing for class and having resources available for their students, both during the class period, that 50 minutes of captive time that they're in the building, and also providing those resources so that it's available when the students are outside of the student day, so that their students are able to capture some of that information on their own after school, after they work, and all of those opportunities for students. That what we're finding is that the job of substitute teacher can be effectively divided in half. And the two halves are content and physical presence. Right now, what's happening is that the content instructor is not often absent. So an instructor that can't be physically present in a classroom due to illness or absence, more often than not, is still present in that classroom via technology in the terms of content. Their content is still being presented through alternative methods. What's missing is that physical presence to be there with the kids, to make sure that resources are available, and to build relationships with our kids so that questions are answered, and anything that comes up during the course of the day, they have that resource of an adult figure. With the current legislation, you have to have a 4-year college degree, and that 4-year college degree does not prepare you necessarily to be a tremendous relationship building person from your community. Also, There are very few four-year college degree people that are currently unemployed willing to come into the school system to substitute. But I can tell you that in Austin, Minnesota, with a 50% minority population, I have excluded an entire population of people that are wonderfully qualified, speak multiple languages, build great relationships, and represent our community extremely well. But because they don't have a four-year college degree, we're closing the door on them and their opportunity to actually be a part of the educational process. What we're suggesting is that school districts are uniquely qualified to judge people on their merits, their abilities, and their passions, to offer training of appropriate level for this idea of substitute teaching, to divide it out based upon age groups so that the training given for people interested in elementary substitution is not identical to the training given to those at secondary, so that we can fulfill this need of a physical presence in the room that represents our community, that also builds relationship with our students. And with that, I'll yield to anyone with questions.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Representative Mueller, are there other people who are on the call that are testifying? I have a couple testifiers listed, but I don't see.
Madam Chair, I was told that superintendent from District 622 was coming, but maybe last minute they were not able to come, and that's why we have the School Board Association letter.
Madam Chair, this is Christine Osorio, Superintendent.
Oh, yay, good.
Oh, awesome. Okay. Welcome to the committee. Please identify yourself and to your testimony.
Thank you, Chair Hassan. My name is Christine Tucci Osorio, and I'm the Superintendent for School District 622, which is North St. Paul, Maplewood, and Oakdale, and multiple parts of additional communities. I'm really pleased to be here to speak on behalf of our AMSD school districts. It was great to hear that this originated in Austin. It goes to show how our issues are very similar across the state. And I'm really here to speak in favor of House File 699. What I'd like to do is just really quickly, and you heard a little bit about this from Representative Mueller, and thank you, Representative Mueller, for carrying this file. It's really important for us. First of all, I'd like to just reiterate, how do we manage when we have teacher absences without a substitute in place? We handle it a couple of different ways in our elementary programs. Typically what happens, let's say there's a third grade teacher who's out absent and there's not a substitute to fill their place. We will sometimes take that class and divide that class up and give half that class to a different teacher and half the class to another teacher. Sometimes there aren't enough at the same grade level where those kids have to go to a different grade level to be with a different class of classroom. So the classroom that's affected is not just the one that's missing the teacher that day, but also the other class where a teacher is having to sort of juggle what they were going to do for the day and switch it up and not be able to meet all the individual needs of students in the same regard. In our secondary programs, typically what happens is, as we heard earlier, when a teacher is gone, if you think about a 6-period day in a school, a middle school or a high school, what will happen is every single hour of the day, a different teacher will be plugged in to be the fill-in that hour of the day, missing their own preparation time for that day. So it's pretty chaotic. It does affect more than just the class that didn't have a teacher that day. So what does this look like in my school district? So I went back, not this current school year because of the pandemic. I actually went back to the 18-19 school year, which was our last entire school year we were in a normal setting. And we had, of all the teacher absences I had, 12.9% of those went unfilled, meaning there was not a substitute who picked up the job. Okay, so a teacher's out sick for a day, those are the numbers. In my district, that equated to 511 days that there was a classroom without a teacher in the school district. And so this really is a huge issue for us. And I think, as you've heard already, there is a shortage of substitute teachers. And how will this bill help? Well, in a number of ways. You already heard a little bit about some of the reasons why our teachers are able to communicate content and lead that area. But there's a huge element in this that personally catches my attention. We have many paraprofessionals, for example, in our schools who maybe don't have the 4-year degree. And we have others who work in our schools who don't have a 4-year degree, but they already know the students. I have many paraprofessionals. I have some that do have the 4-year degree, and we do have short call sub licenses for them. But there are so many more that could help us out in those situations. And we can't use them in that regard because they don't have that degree completed. And so what would be really important for us is the ability to be able to put people in front of our students people who already know those students, people who already know what the classroom rituals and routines are because they're in those classes with the students supporting in that regard. So for me, this was a really big aha of a way we would be thrilled to be able to use this added flexibility to engage more of our people who work in our district who already have content, the connections to the classroom. They maybe aren't trained in the content area, but they have familiarity with rituals and routines in those classrooms. So paraprofessionals, it could be a coach who already works with the students and some other folks who know the kids in the school system. And that would mean a whole lot of continuity for our learners. So with that, I thank you for the opportunity and I'm available for any questions you may have.
Thank you. Is there anyone else who's in the call that would like to speak for or against the bill? I don't see anyone else. All right, we will move to member discussion. Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Mueller, for bringing this bill. This is clearly a very important issue. I just had a question about the background check requirement, because I noted that you said when you were introducing the bill that they would have a completed background check beforehand. And when I look at the bill, it cross-references to 123B03, and to me, that statute just says the background check has to be requested of the BCA, but not necessarily completed. And so I just want to be sure that those background checks are done before the substitute teacher comes in, and maybe it's in a different area of law or something that I'm not familiar with. So if you could answer that question, that would be great.
Thank you, Representative Mueller. Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Representative Mueller. I really appreciate the question. It is my intention when writing this bill that I do know that, when I look at, as a teacher myself, I can't be in a classroom without a background check being successfully completed. It was never my intention for any substitute teacher to be hired without a completed background check. So if the language would be unclear, I guess I would kind of defer this question to our nonpartisan researchers just to make sure that the language is clear.
Christina or Tim, would you be able to?
Yes, Madam Chair, members, 123B03 does require that the background check be performed on all employees. I believe, I'm sorry, the statutes, I know there have been a few proposals over the years. Sometimes it was, there was at one point a proposal to change it so that a staff couldn't be, sorry, normally teacher licenses are also get background checks. I'd have to just double check the language on this one, but generally it doesn't take very long for those background checks to be completed. So if somebody had, the district could certainly do it before, if they had enough time, enough notice, they could certainly do the background check beforehand.
Thank you. Representative Mueller.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Mueller and Ms. Para for that. If we can just work on the language just to make sure that those are completed before they enter, I think that would be great, and I'd be happy to work with you on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Representative Erickson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. My question is for Mr. Raymond. So, Mr. Raymond, thank you very much for being here and for the work that you do in the Austin School District. I can tell you, you had a very good basketball team 2 years ago because they beat my Princeton Tigers. And it was just a fantastic game. And I was really very proud of the Tigers, but even prouder of your Austin players. I mean, what great gentlemen they were and what great talent on the basketball floor. But my question has to do with, you probably would want to change your marketing for substitute teachers if this 3-year pilot becomes law, because it seems to me it would be an advantage for you to get out to the public the fact that you welcome these folks, but they're going to need background checks, and that might take a little while. Now, when I subbed after retiring almost 4 decades, I actually went to my school districts for all the training that they had for substitute teachers, because I indicated an interest that even though I have a life license and it's in 812 language arts, that I would be interested in subbing at the elementary level. I welcomed an opportunity like that. So that was a special training from the secondary, which I really didn't have to go to so thoroughly. But what would you say about marketing and the fact that this might also be a great marketing tool for getting so many in your community, and I think across the state, into the teaching profession? So would you comment on those two questions I've asked? Thank you.
Mr. Raymond.
Your Representative Erickson. You're absolutely right. The training that we would offer would be in combination with our local union. We design it together. We would look to try and divide this out based upon age appropriate. And for Austin, we have a kindergarten center. All kindergartners are in one building. We would do that training separate. We would then do our training K4 as a training. We would do our middle levels, 5 to 8 would be one training, and then high school 9-12 would be the last training. And anybody wishing to sub in any of those age groups would have to complete each of the trainings. Our goal would be to have the best possibly prepared people in front of our kids as we can. As far as the opportunities this could additionally provide, right now the state of Minnesota has several programs that they're referring to as Grow Your Own. The Grow Your Own Teacher program's design is to take somebody that's in a paraprofessional role and move them in a greater capacity to becoming a teacher. The unfortunate reality with the Grow Your Own programs, when they start pulling out of the para ranks, is that when we hire a para, that position usually requires somebody to be in the school district for 6 to 7 hours a day, 5 days a week, which really limits their ability to participate in a teacher preparation program, because they just don't have the time during the day to do both. Now, in the metro area, you might be able to find some online programs that you could do this with. I know in outstate, in Austin specifically, we have an outstanding partnership with Winona State University, where at the local community college, you can actually pick up a 4-year elementary degree with Winona State University in combination with Riverland Community College. It's a tremendous program. If I could provide opportunities for those students to do substitute teaching on an at-will basis to be able to fill in their schedules, they would not only be able to get that experience that they so desperately need to come into schools to have an understanding of what age groups they want to work with, but it would also be able to fund themselves as they work their way through the programs. Several of the WSU programs will only meet 3 days a week or 4 days a week, providing 2 or 1 day a week that they could be fully engaged as a substitute. And on some of those other days, depending on the semester and the schedule, they could do half days, half day mornings or half day afternoons. Those opportunities are not provided to us by the Grow Your Own programs that have been passed for paras in outstate. Maybe it happens in some other programs, but in outstate Minnesota right now, with the Grow Your Own programs, we're having difficulty moving those paras into fully licensed teaching positions.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Moving on to Representative Wasilowicz.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Representative Mueller. I know substitutes are difficult to find. I know that's an issue that occurred for my suburban district as well. Just had a couple of questions for you. I know the bill language says something about 15 consecutive days. Is that within a certain time period, or is that just 15 consecutive days, and then if there was space between that, they could come back for that 15 days again, I guess? I'm just wondering if you could clarify that for me.
Representative Mueller.
Thank you, Chair Hassan and Representative Wasilowicz. This is how we classify substitutes. A short call sub is basically anyone who is underneath the 15 consecutive days. After that, and I might defer to Mr. Raymond, but after that, then you would have to get a licensed teacher. And so I don't think, and I think, as I said, I think I'm going to refer to Mr. Raymond to make sure that I'm answering that correctly.
Mr. Raymond?
This question's been clarified through Pelsby for a number of years. The issue here is whether or not school districts would play games, quote unquote, with that idea of a 15-day licensure, where you just simply try to cycle a teacher out and then bring them back in and essentially turn a full-time position into a part-time position by dividing it up. That is not the intent of the legislation. That is not the intent of the current statutory language that's short-term substitute teachers fall under. What is supposed to happen is it's a maximum in any one assignment of 15 days for any length of time. So the example would be is if there was going to be a 20-day absence for a second grade teacher, we would look for a long-term sub. If the absence was 10 days, I could use a short call sub. I could bring that person in. If at some other point during the year, there is a separate incident for that same instructor, they're not related, I could bring that same instructor back in. We are not allowed to bring people in and just roll them out for one day and bring them back in. That is outside the intent of current legislation with our short call licensed subs.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Professor Wasilewicz, do you have a follow-up?
Yeah, thank you for that clarification. That was sort of what I was concerned about, was having somebody just kind of rolling along and not really following the intent of the law. So I appreciate that. The other question I had was, again, my understanding that this position, and I don't know what the current language is for short call subs, but doesn't require the same level of background check. So it's federal versus state. So I'm wondering, Representative Mueller, or maybe there's someone else on the call, or maybe this is a follow-up question. If someone could just clarify what sort of differences are there with the state versus the federal? I know it's sort of more in depth, but I don't know if there's someone who could speak to sort of the differences of if there are things that might be missed with the state background check versus a federal background check.
Representative Mueller.
I was always got my background check as a full teacher, and so I will definitely defer to Mr. Raymond or to Superintendent 632.
Christina or Mr. Raymond. Mr. Raymond, do you have an answer to that?
So if this licensure were to go through with the same direction as most other professional licensing through PELSB, it would be held to the same standard that our current substitute teachers are falling underneath with their background check. And I believe PELSB is doing both federal and state level background checks. It's the federal level of sex crimes databases that they're running them through.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond. Christina, do you have something to add, or?
Madam Chair, nothing really to add specific to that, other than for the most part, the 15 days is the same as the original state statute right now. Background check is intended to be the original. What's changing is the flexibility to broaden it to more eligible people who maybe don't have that 4-year degree completed.
Thank you. Representative Keeler, to your question.
I do. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Representative Mueller, for bringing this. I actually used to be a substitute coordinator in my district, and I like every morning it was a scramble of math to try to figure out basically which classes were priorities, and we would sit at like a 60 to 70% fill rate, which means 30% of our classes were not having teachers. And so you're right, you're pulling people from their prep class or their prep time to fill a class. It's not conducive for our children. Can you just clarify for me? So we are moving the liability. So instead of going through PELSB to do the short call license, are we moving liability back on the school districts for them to do licensing? Tell me what's different. I guess to me, it looks like what we already have in place for our short call substitute teachers. Just tell me what the actual difference is.
Professor Mueller.
Well, thank you, Chair Hassan and Representative Keeler. And I too was a substitute coordinator at one point in time and understand your pain completely. I can answer the first part or the second part of your question. Liability, I'm going to defer to one of my experts. But currently, from what I understand, you need to have a 4-year degree in order to be a substitute teacher. And unless it's a CTE teacher, then you can have those other requirements. But for everything else, you do have to have a 4-year degree. And as we heard from both of our testifiers, people who have 4-year degrees are not often willing to just maybe have a job that day. And so they often are hired at other places as a more permanent basis. As for the liability, one of my testifiers can answer that.
Thank you, Representative Mueller. Who will take this?
I'd be happy to take it. My understanding of the way that the legislation is moving forward, our goal would be to essentially take the short call license that currently exists under PELSB and essentially open up the eligibility from those individuals that have a 4-year college degree and open it up to a wider scope of people so that there's a greater number of people that could engage in the educational process in the same way. They would apply for their licensure, go through the same background checks as our current substitute teachers that are applying for a 15-day short call license.
Thank you, Mr. Raymond.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
Okay, so really then what we're doing is we're making a change from our 2-year degrees to be in CTE, to be in our CTE field, to be any 2-year degree is eligible for a short call license.
And 5 years worth of
Mr. Raymond?
professional experience.
So Keeler, do you have a follow-up or?
No, Representative Mueller, if maybe you and I can talk offline about it a little bit more. Thank you.
All right, well, thank you. For clarity purposes, I wanna, clarify that this bill is being laid over for future consideration. And Representative Mueller, do you have last words on this?
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I just want to really thank my testifiers for coming. They shared some really powerful stories about the struggles that are happening in their district. And I would like to say, I graduated from District 622, class of '99 at Tartan High School. Thank you very much. And then, before I became a legislator, I was working at Austin. And so I know Mr. Raymond very well and his passion and his knowledge. And really am appreciative of them coming in support of this. I know that there may be some language issues to work out, but I really think that this solution of more local control, more flexibility for these schools are really going to be helpful. Plus, it's also going to allow people from their community to come in and again, whether that's just to be a short call sub or whether that sparks an interest for them to go back to school and to become a teacher, all of that is a win for our districts. And so I think that's really, really important for us. We heard testimony in the Senate from the Anoka Hennepin superintendent who said, and this was back in February in the Senate, that in March alone, he had at that point 100 positions that were unfilled for a substitute teacher. The need is dire. And so we really need to be able to move on this bill so that we're able to accommodate our school districts. And with that, Chair Hassan, I did have a quick question if it's okay. It was my understanding that we had already heard an omnibus bill from policy. And so I guess I didn't understand how this could be laid over. Any questions or any questions? I'm a first termer, so I'm just making sure.
Yes, Professor Mueller, it's my understanding the bill just got a full hearing today and it's being laid over for future consideration. And that's my understanding.
That's what I got.
All right. Well, thank you, Professor Mueller. And House File 699 is laid over. And with no other business, we are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.